Freedom Fighters, I'm coming back at you with another Friday weekly wrap up. Well, I saw that they raided John Bolton's house this morning, so people going into all kinds of different theories of, maybe he had classified documents or something. If you don't know who that is, that was the former Trump employee, neoconservative war hawk, John Bolton, which was one of the many swamp monsters that we question why was ever in his administration in the first place, along with Bill Barr and all these other long time, deeply entrenched establishment swamp members that he, for some reason, thought were good candidates to drain the swamp or be a part of a, revolutionary take back the country movement. But we'll see what ends up happening with that. But I kind of also wanted to talk about, I was looking back on one of my previous videos, and I was following the Nick at America First saga pretty closely, and all the people coming in attacks with him. And then I left off that video talking about Candace, and I didn't really talk about her much. But I was watching some of her videos lately, and she definitely has, opened up. She's definitely asking questions, and lately I've been, listening to her more often. I'm not sure if I ever talked about her previously. I think I mentioned her a few times, and one of the biggest, problems I think I've had with her, and I think I've said this in the past, but I first, saw her on InfoWars, Alex Jones's show, and she since like blew up. She got really big. She made it mainstream. She was going on to Fox News, talking to Tucker, all this stuff, and she never seemed to give AJ the credit, or say where she came from and who, and AJ has discovered a lot of talent that ends up going on these mainstream, news, or writing articles for newspapers or whatever, and they never seem to give him the credit. And then the media shuns him, and they never come to his defense. Um, there's tons of people I've seen on Fox that have come from AJ or from other avenues or whatnot. So, I kind of thought like, oh man, Candace is just a grifter. She's kind of going wherever the paycheck goes. And then she ended up at the Daily Wire, and then I stopped watching her because I was like, okay, she's obviously just there for the paychecks. She's a shill, all that stuff. And it turned out she actually went against her boss and really started asking questions and going against the grain, and got fired for it. And that's when I tuned back in. um and there's a lot of people like this, are starting to ask questions. It seems like every day now there's a new video or new news article about what's going on in the Middle East. This small tribe that runs our country, seemingly runs our country. MTG has been, going into that movement. And I flip flopped back on her as well. Like, she's had her moment, she's had her time where she says good stuff, and then she seems to stab us in the back sometimes. But, that's the grift, how the grift goes, right? The grifters will be grifters. And that's something I kind of wanted to talk about, further. And the quartering, I told you I subscribed to him recently after the e-files thing with Trump happened, and he's been making some pretty base comments and content. But I saw him yesterday posted something about how he shunned this his some girl named Hillary or something, one of these e-girls, one of the many grifting e-girls out there. And talking about that, I saw Ashley St. Clair, supposedly Elon's baby mama, one of many baby mamas, and she's out there, trying to reel in the simps to get her money. She says she's broke now, even though she has Elon's child, and he's sending her like 100 grand a month or something. He gifted her a Tesla, which she said she sold, for the money. So she's just trying to rake in whatever cash she can get. She'll go wherever which way the wind blows, right? If she can't get it as a right wing podcast influencer, e-girl, reining in the simps, she'll go left. Um, she might even go back and forth and test the markets, right? And that's pretty much how these e-girl chameleons go, right? We all know the game by now. The trad wife fallacy that they pretend to be or pretend to want, but whenever that comes to fruition or that ever prevents itself, they don't want to play that game. But uh, there's this other girl. I forget, is Stock or something like that. Maybe um, I can't even remember her name. It was Stock something. Maybe Stockton. Um, she was like the new up and coming right wing traddy girl. Kind of. She kind of looks like Lauren Southern. I think she was kind of filling in the vacuum for that role. As Rush Limbaugh used to say, the news babes or whatnot. We're in a new area now of e-girl news babes, and they're all fighting for the top spot. And she posted a tweet of her hand. She got married, or she got proposed to. She got a ring on the finger, and all the other right wing supposed trad wives and conservative e girls were trashing her and going after her because they're all in each other's throats, and they're all just playing the game to try to find a simp to put the ring on the finger to play conservative housewife. But that's not what they're all feminists. They're all faking. They're the chameleon, as Hammerhand rightfully coined the term, coined them as. But and then I saw this one girl on that post called Emily Saves America, and I have seen some of her um like shorts and stuff like that, but I never really followed her or know anything about her. But she's always doing videos from Teslas and like looks like $1 million LA mansion. And again, it's like, tell us how you're the girl next door, the they pretend to be this like girl on the ranch, or this girl next door in rural America. Yet you're parroting conservative talking points from an LA balcony. And you go through her content. I think it was Better Bachelor who did a breakdown of her videos where she's bragging about she hates rednecks and all these poor white boys from the flyover states, while she gets to have fun and she parties and does drugs in LA. And these are your conservative influencers today. This is what runs the right wing, and they're all fake, man. If you're still falling for this, um you're I don't even know what to say, man. And I can gladly say I don't follow any of them. I took Nick's advice from the very beginning. No e-girls ever, ever. They're all feminists. And you're lying to yourself if you're like, this one's not, she's not, right, she's not like the others. They're all leading you to the trap. They're all fake and they're raking in paychecks. Figure that out. But and not to say there ain't any women in the movement that are doing good. I mean, like I said, Candace has been asking questions. I saw Megan Kelly did a thing on it where she was asking questions. It's really just these Twitter, e-girl followers that, are just raking in the subscriptions and stuff like that. And, even within the gun movement, man, it was from the very beginning. You had, like Corey and Erica. I remember watching them, and you're only watching it for Erica, right? You're not watching the content for Corey. You don't give a damn what Corey's doing. And, there's a few more out there. I can't even remember. And like I said, I don't pay attention to most of them because I know the grift, right? I can see it a mile away, and you know what's happening. Um, there's like Liberty Girl or something like that, or Gun Girl. Dude, I don't know. Liberty Doll, maybe. There's like Redheaded Gun Chick or something like that. And, I just don't follow most of these. And, and again, it's like they're in it for different reasons, right? They grew up hunting with their, dad or their brothers, or they do like 3 gun competitions, or, whatever. They're like, I remember the story of that Olympic shooter that was like, I can't remember if she did skeet shooting or she did the triathlon with like the shooting targets or something. But it turned out like she was really anti-gun. I'm like, and I can't even remember if she was the American one or maybe Canadian or something. But I remember thinking like, you should be advocating for shooting sports, and some of them do. But that's the point I'm getting to. Is like it's a sport for them. It's hunting for them. And none of these women are gonna be there when the battle kicks off, right? They're not pulling triggers out here in the street. They're not aiding to, the what I see is the future, right? And they shouldn't be. I'm not saying that they should be. Like, I said that during J6 when Ashley Babbitt, passed away in her situation. I'm like, why are our women on the front lines, right? So I'm not saying that they should, but that's also a reason why I'm not following them, because, and I mean, they can still advocate for gun rights, but it's a whole different thing, right? When I advocate for my gun rights, it's for literal freedom and oppression from tyranny. It's literally, um, and they're like, oh no, I just want to protect myself when I walk down a dark alley, and which again is fine. I totally am with women carrying and being able to protect themselves, and their families from home invasion or whatever. But again, we've covered about the Second Amendment topic. That's not the Second Amendment is literally the ability to keep your government in check and remain free. And that is the man's job, and that's what men step up to the table and get the job done. So again, these grifters, man, yeah, it's just what's and don't get me wrong, man. There's guys playing this same game too. I saw Destiny's son was on Twitter the other day, basically declaring himself the infamous N word, not the maybe the one you're thinking of, the other one that would describe a German soldier during the 40s. Um, and his dad is a super diehard leftist, and again, children and family members and other things aren't their parents, right? Children aren't their parents. I saw, I want to do another video on that, where I heard I think it was in New Jersey, where they were going to arrest children or arrest the parents for their children's crimes. And I touched on this once before, and I could see the writing on the wall where this was going. But yeah, just because Destiny is a um, closeted leftist homo, basically, is it really closeted anymore? I'm pretty sure he's outed. But yeah, it doesn't mean his son can't be a based reasoning person. But again, they know where the grift is. They know, he's probably thinking like, yeah, I could come out as a leftist podcaster, but that's nothing new than what my dad's preaching. Where the money is at, where people are going to want to pick me up and hear my opinions, is if I'm counteractive to his. And then, that's what all these, other people are, they're playing the game, right? And that's what made, like, the black conservatives so sought after in the movement. That's what brought, like, Candace up, right? A black woman, which, historically votes like 96% to the left. Like, wow, her opinion's so different. It's so, out there that it's picked up. And white guys do the same thing, right? There's no opening in the white conservative space for a new podcast or a new. So what do? They move to the left. There's this guy Dean Withers out there who's, again, you think he would have picked up steam if he was posting right wing clips and stuff on the internet? No, he knew where the grift was. And there's even videos of him saying, the other N word. Um, he even admitted, he's like, yeah, I used to say that, I used to do all this stuff. But he knew which way the wind was swinging for him, and he knew where he could get the views and get the clicks, and get the podcast interviews, and people want to talk to him because it's a different opinion from people that you're supposed to be in this camp, you're supposed to have this opinion, and people know they can switch around whichever way the wind blows and pick up the paycheck. And that's what politics have become. It's literally just, picking up the paycheck. No one's standing firm on their values and principles. So, I think that's where I'm going to leave that one at today, man. Let me know what you guys think. Till the next one, man, you know what it is. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to save us. And only God can save you. So get right with God. Freedom fighters out.